Together we'll see who dies and survives, circled around a sacred fire, strumming along with our favorite lyre. Adventure called the quest awaits, your destiny's in the hands of the fates. But never fear, we're all friends here, we'll have your back when danger's near. Come with us through the pages as we unravel a tale for the ages into the Percy-Verse.
Hello and welcome to the Percy-Verse podcast. I'm Alisa.
And I'm Anna. Take a seat, grab a Cheese Whiz covered ping pong ball, and get ready for a tense conversation because today we're reading The Titan's Curse, Chapter 7, Everybody Hates Me But the Horse. In this chapter, the hunters and campers have to decide who will go on the quest. We finally meet Mr. Blowfish, and Artemis makes a brave move to save Annabeth.
Apparently, tough conversations, you just need some Cheese Whiz covered ping pong balls and you're golden.
Like, I'm not sure that actually helped, or that it actually was, like, not a tough conversation in the end.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But yeah, apparently. I also think the title is false. I just want to make a case.
Yes.
That Grover doesn't hate Percy right now.
I think it's that, like...
If he just had, like, the hooved people.
Preteen, I think it's just that feeling of, like, no one stood up for him, and everyone's mad at him after, capture the flag. That it's that when you're that age, you're like, everybody hates me,
everybody
and it's
hates
like,
me.
Well, not really Percy, but,
But
it's
sure.
definitely, that's something that, like, you would say, there are a lot of moments in this chapter where I'm like, Percy, if we said that to a therapist, the therapist would be like, okay, so let's take a moment.
Is that a feeling or a fact?
Right. And let's kind of go through what do we know to be true?
Yep.
And what is like emotionally true and not necessarily like literally true.
Right, exactly. Well, he even like says at the end that the campers are looking at him sympathetically. So it's like, you know, but I just was like, is it though?
He's like, Blackjack is my only friend. No, I think he means Blackjack.
You're right. He does mean Blackjack.
He doesn't mean Chiron. He means Blackjack.
No, you're absolutely right. My brain just processed that. He does mean Blackjack.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, anyway, I get it. But it's very middle school. It's on brand. It's just not actually true.
No. But we start this chapter off with Percy and Grover having been elected to carry the Oracle back to the attic. And this is where we get the beginning of Percy being like, everyone's not really my fan today.
Yep.
Because he's like, I don't think we were selected because we're the most popular.
Nope.
I think it's kind of like everyone's grumpy that they lost capture the flag.
And it's also kind of like a nose goes kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, those two.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And in the process of returning the Oracle to the attic, Percy bangs the mummy's head against the trapdoor. Grover's like, watch out! Too late. Percy does it. Yep. And they do kind of check to see if there's any damage, and they don't see any, which I couldn't help but wonder if that's like, when we learned how this Oracle came to be trapped in that for so long, if Apollo kind of saying, like, no one else, like, if the whole, like, no one else shall be, when Apollo did that all those years ago, Hades. I'm sorry. When Hades, because he was so angry about the great prophecy, like, did like, no one shall be you, and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that, like, granted the mummy, like, some sort of, like, physical protection around, like, her physical form disintegrated, but, like, there's, like, the bones. Because I'm like, after that many years, bones are
that it, like, can't break.
Yeah.
Well, I am curious to see if we could possibly string a theory together at some point that, like, this actually causes resentment in the Oracle. That, like, this moment where Percy bangs her head is, like, why he's included in the next prophecy or something. Like, I think it'd be kind of funny if she held a grudge.
She's like, I was going to let you off the hook until
you banged my head against
on the trap door. Which also feels a little bit like, why has it got to be a trap door? We can't, make an actual, like, good staircase. But anyways.
Absolutely.
But Percy
it's an attic.
Yeah. Percy and Grover return her, and he feels incredibly relieved to leave, even though, like, the Oracle once more, she does not address him or say anything to him.
Yep.
In this moment, which he's feeling very, very down. So,
Yes.
like we kind of just said, he's like, the whole camp is mad at me for losing to the hunters. And he's really upset about this new prophecy. He feels like the Oracle went out of her way to exclude him. And he's very upset that the new prophecy didn't say anything about Annabeth at all. That he feels like, that she wasn't mentioned at all.
Right. Yeah, because he doesn't know that they're in the same place yet.
Right. Yeah. And then Grover says that, he wants to be out there searching, and Percy kind of clarifies, like, searching for Annabeth, and Grover's like, oh, actually, Pan, like, that with the great...
Yeah, that too.
Right. But I think Grover's explanation makes a lot of sense. He's saying that with the great stirring, he can't help but wonder, like, if all these other, like, ancient kind of powers are waking up, like, they don't all have to be evil, and maybe it's Pan, too, who's, like, waking up right now. And I think it's another really sweet, like, Percy and Grover friendship moment, because instead of Percy being, like, mad at Grover, like, why aren't you just focused on Annabeth? Percy actually feels selfish for having forgotten about the search for Pan, and we get this reminder from Percy that Chiron had put all the satyrs on emergency duty, so that's why Grover hadn't been able to continue his search post the Sea of Monsters. And I do think that's nice that in, like, Grover has a, like, oh yes, no, I am thinking about Annabeth too, and Percy's like, oh right, this thing that's also really important to you.
Yeah, like your life's work.
Yeah,
totally.
They both, like, recognize what is, like, kind of one of the most important things to the other person right now.
Yes.
Which are both searching quests that they very strongly desire to be on.
Which is kind of the vibe when you're half-blood or in the Greek mythological world.
Yep. And Grover goes on to say that, like, he feels restless and he feels like he's missing something important. He can feel that Pan is out there. And I was curious if you had any thoughts on, like, when Grover says he feels like he's missing something important, like, what do you think that is?
I have thoughts. Okay, I have 3 thoughts.
Okay.
One is, I think Grover will have a special connection to our mysterious yet unidentified monster creature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like, part of the Great Stirring. And so, like, that's a thing that's, like... And also, we're learning at the end of the chapter that this creature is nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like Grover might be attuning to that piece of the book.
Right.
I also am thinking ahead to when we're going to have the experience with the boar in My Favorite Place on Earth, Cloudcroft.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I feel like he's sensing those kinds of creatures. Like, I think he's sensing that. But I also... really looking at this wording here, he says he's out there somewhere, I can feel it. And I was just like, like, I think Grover can genuinely feel that Pan is, I think from what we can tell in the labyrinth, like, even now, like, maybe absolutely. For a long time has been there. And I think Grover can actually tell that for real.
Yeah, and I'm also now thinking, like, in terms of the missing something important, like, we know, because we've read these books, that, like, the Among the Many Lost Campers is, like, the element of the labyrinth that they're not going to identify until, the next book. But, like, if that combined with, like, we know that the labyrinth moves around a lot, like, I wonder if maybe Grover, like, right now, Pan actually happens to be, like, labyrinth-wise physically closer or something like that, and, like, maybe that's
and that could be the thing that Grover's missing is the labyrinth, like, that piece is that like, it feels strong and then it feels weak, and then because it is moving, like, that could absolutely just be what he's missing. And
after Grover shares all of this, Percy's kind of like, he doesn't really know what to say or how to make Grover feel any better, and Percy's optimism and sense of hope feel very trampled on right now. I like this metaphor of that his optimism had pretty much been trampled into the snow out there in the woods, along with the capture the flag hope. So I just that wording I liked a lot, and then we get Talia in her most mature, evolved self.
Absolutely. Self-energy queen.
Yes.
Walking into the room.
Into the room. And with just the utmost poise and maturity, telling Grover to tell Percy to get his butt downstairs. And we have the classic exchange of, like, Talia is not talking to Percy but communicating via Grover. Percy's just, like, talking directly to Talia. And this all leads to basically Talia saying that Percy needs to get downstairs because there's a council meeting that Dionysus called of cabin leaders, and Percy is unfortunately a cabin leader himself as well.
Yep.
So yes.
I was thinking about how at the middle school age, and I'm sure it could happen to me now in some circumstance, but that something like losing capture the flag because somebody went out of their way to do a thing you asked them not to do.
Yeah.
Well, told them not to do. I feel like that can feel like the end of the world. Like it can feel like the worst betrayal anyone could ever make ever.
Yes. Well, and I think especially because it's that on top of losing to the hunters who we know that Talia like specifically as of right now hates and kind of despises. So yeah, I think there are a lot of layers as to why, like, and combine that with just at that time in your life, every emotion is at like 150,000%, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So, yes. So then we cut to this council meeting, which is held around a ping pong table in the rec room, and Dionysus magically supplies the snacks as discussed in our lovely intro. And so the roster of who is in attendance, we have Mr. D and Chiron, we have Zoe and Bianca, and there's a note that like Bianca had kind of become like Zoe's personal assistant since all this had happened. We have Talia, Grover, Percy, Beckendorf, Selena, and the Stoll brothers, and it's noted that all of the Ares kids had gotten broken limbs during Capture the Flag, courtesy of the hunters, and so none of them are able to attend.
Super.
And so Zoe jumps right in. She's saying, like, this meeting is pointless. The hunters need to leave immediately. She's not really about any of this. And we get this interesting part where Percy is really taking in, like, how different Bianca looks now. So we learn that her hair is braided like Zoe's, and you can really see her face, and she's got these freckles, and her eyes remind Percy of someone famous, but he, like, can't really put his finger on who, which I find very interesting. Like, because their mom was not...
She wasn't an actress or something?
I don't think the mom was famous, but also she was Italian, you know.
Sure.
In the 30s and 40s, Italy. So, like, I don't think Percy's really, like, up on, you know.
Well, you know what it probably is?
What?
She probably has Hades eyes.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't remember if we're told. And now we're back to eyes again.
We are.
So somebody is probably yelling at me in the comments if this is not true. And her mom really is an actress, and Percy would know or something. We find that out later, and her eyes are green.
No, but you're right, because Percy has met her father. So yes.
Yep. So it could very well be that he's just like famous. Because I think the gods give you that same feeling of meeting like a celebrity.
Absolutely.
So like,
yes.
You might not be able to quite place it, especially like out of the context of the underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're very right. I think this is another hint towards the parentage.
And it might be accentuated with all the hunter energy that's inside of her, partly because like maybe they're contrasting with like the skin and the hair and all the things. Yeah. But also just because she is this like immortal person now. And so that might like amp up some of her godly characteristics on that side of her.
Totally. And yeah, her skin has that fake glow to it now that all the other hunters have because of their immortality.
I love the specific line that it's like she'd been taking showers in liquid moonlight.
Yeah.
I'm so into that description. That's so fun.
Yeah. It's a beautiful description. And then after, you know, Zoe has kind of gone on this like, we gotta go now, Talia jumps in to remind Zoe that the prophecy specifically said hunters and campers combined, and Zoe's like, we don't need the hunters' help. And then Zoe and Talia have a little like diction fight over, because Zoe, he says thy, and you know, Talia's like, it's your, and That will be like...
Could this be considered ageism on Talia's part?
I think, it's more that Talia's gonna find anything. You know, she's gonna find anything
to pick a fight
and to be annoyed at. She's looking for any reason to be annoyed at Zoe.
For sure. It just feels like a funny, unusual form.
No, it is. It is. And then Chiron does kind of chime in to say, like, no, the prophecy must be followed. This is another moment, interestingly, where I feel kind of like it's, obviously the stakes aren't as high as when Talia and Percy were, like, in, pure combat with one another in the last chapter. But this is another moment where Chiron isn't stepping in as forcefully as I feel that he could, given that he is in this director position at camp. But anyways.
Yeah.
And then Mr. D very unhelpfully points out that, the thing about being lost and then the perished in the prophecy. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I wonder if you'll actually just fail and people will die because you cooperate with one another. Mm-hmm. But Talia brings us back to, like, the point of insisting that they have to work together. And Zoe's kind of annoyed by this, but does agree with Talia's point that, like, prophecies should not be fought against. Like, that's what really seems to, like, kind of break through to Zoe and make her be like, fine, I guess you're right.
Like, there's a bad history that Zoe does know about of, like, when you try to do something to change a prophecy, like, bad things happen.
Yes. And then Chiron gives us a very helpful, like, timestamp reminder. So we learn that as of today in this chapter, it is Sunday, and the coming Friday, December 21st, is the winter solstice. And so we're not working with very much time at all, given that we will be embarking on another cross-country trip.
It would be really helpful if, like, maybe the Oracle has ADHD. Because, like, it would be really nice if she could give these prophecies a little more lead time.
Yeah, maybe like 2 weeks,
just a little bit.
Yeah. And Zoe really hammers home the point that, like, Artemis has to be present at the winter solstice, that she's the most vocal god about everything that's happening, and without her there, the gods will decide nothing, and they'll lose another year of war preparations. Yeah. Which I think it's kind of funny, because to me that implies that, like, it's only at the winter solstice that they decide, like, fighting time, I'm like, there is the summer solstice, but I don't know.
No.
It's just the winter one, I guess.
That's it.
But and then Dionysus has a funny moment where he's like, are you saying the gods have trouble acting together? And Zoe's like, yes. And he's like, okay, just double checking. I agree.
You're right.
You're right.
Can confirm.
Yeah. And Chiron agrees with Zoe, and he's like, okay, we gotta decide who's going. And this is the first time Percy chimes into this conversation, and he just outright says that it should be 3 and 2, 3 hunters and 2 campers. And pretty much everyone, like Talia and Zoe, like, everyone's in agreement on this split. Yeah. It feels good to everyone. But then we kind of have this moment where people are, like, bringing up the different parts of the prophecy. So, like, Chiron brings up the Bane of Olympus line, and Zoe admits that she has no clue, like, what the beast could be, and everyone looks to Dionysus, and he's like, I'm a young god. Don't look at me. I don't keep track of all those ancient monsters and dusty titans.
I just got here, like, yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what's happening.
And then Percy asks Chiron if he has any ideas, and Chiron says that he has several, but none make sense. And he brings up Typhon and Keto. Sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. But he says that if either were stirring, like, they would really be well aware of that. Poseidon would have sounded the alarm already. And then Connor Stoll's kind of like, yikes, sounds dangerous for y'all.
Yep.
But interestingly, Percy notes, he's like, okay, he said you're, not we. So he's opting out.
He's taking himself out.
Yep. Yes. And then Beckendorf brings up the land without rain line, and he's like, hey, y'all should stay out of the desert. Selena brings up the Titan's curse line, and Chiron and Zoe exchange nervous glances but don't say anything. But Percy, like, clocks that. He sees that. Grover brings up the perishing by a parent's hand, and there's a heavy silence that follows it. So we kind of, like, the whole group kind of spends a little time, like, dissecting every line and be like, what could this mean? What could that mean? I don't know.
I have to point out one order of operations in there, which is that when Selena says that 2 campers should go, like, they're confirming that, Zoe's like, oh, and I suppose you wish to volunteer? And then Selena's like, I'm not going anywhere with the hunters. And when she says, don't look at me, and then Zoe's like, oh, a daughter of Aphrodite doesn't wish to be looked at. And that's when Beckendorf says, stop it. And I just wanted, it just was like a little note or a little hint at Beckendorf and Selena's relationship that like, he kind of like stands up for her there, or like stops Zoe from making fun of her. And I thought that was kind of cute.
Yes. No, I agree. And so after Grover brings up this perishing by a parent's hand and everyone's very silent, Percy can't help but think about, like, him and Talia being children of the big three, and he thinks back to that conversation he had with Annabeth, where she said that, like, some of the gods would like to kill him, but they can't because of Poseidon, and he's kind of, like, wondering if this line could refer to one of them.
Yeah, totally.
And Chiron declares that all they know is that there will be deaths. So we're, like, really, like, it's a great energy mood.
The Titan's curse. Yeah. There will be deaths.
It's all we know. Yes, and Dionysus is excited by this because, you know, he's constantly threatening it, and so he wants to actually see it happen. And this is where then that moment that you were just talking about happens, where, like, Selena's trying to move the conversation back to, like, deciding. She's like, I agree with Percy, these 2 campers, and that back and forth with Zoe happens. And I think this means that they are already together by this point,
That's
or at least are
thinking.
about to be. But I was curious,
Yes.
I didn't know if this was maybe, like, more towards the beginning, or they haven't officially, I wasn't totally sure, because I don't know if we get...
That would be my thought. It feels like there's something between them, whether or not it's like other people know or it's official yet.
Totally. And Beckendorf, after telling her to back off, he kind of suggests, like, how about you pick the hunters first, basically. And so Zoe says that she will, of course, go, and she will take Phoebe, who's their best tracker. And then the Stoll brothers... They're like, they really want to clarify who exactly Phoebe is based on her actions, and they give Zoe a t-shirt to give to her that says Artemis, the moon goddess, fall hunting tour 2002, which, by the way, I really want that t-shirt.
We gotta make that t-shirt.
We gotta make the t-shirt.
Yeah, back to the box. We gotta make it for the box one day.
And Percy kind of notes, like, I know they're up to no good, but I guess Zoe doesn't really know it, and he doesn't bother to step in and be like...
none of the campers, all of whom know, and Chiron and Dionysus, whom know this is some kind of prank.
Yeah.
None of them say anything, and it's almost like they are kind of annoyed at the hunters being there and competitive with them. And also a little bit like, you're at camp, so it's fair game, because pranks are fair game here.
Yes. So they are very clearly up to shenanigans. And everyone's letting it happen. Everyone's letting it slide. And then the last hunter that Zoe says that she would like to go is Bianca. And Bianca is absolutely stunned. And Zoe's basically like, well, there's no better way to prove yourself. And Percy can kind of feel for her. He remembers, like, his first quest and how he felt at 12 when that happened.
Yeah, she's the same age.
And so then Chiron is like, all right, so who are the campers that are going to go? And he meets Percy's eyes, and Grover immediately jumps up and volunteers. Like, it to me, this has always felt like the second Chiron has, like, finished his sentence, Grover's up. Like,
absolutely.
Me, I volunteer.
Yes.
As tribute. Take me.
As tribute, yes.
Which there's another, like,
possibly
Hunger Games
there's
moment.
Deaths, so.
No, I know. But there was another that ends when he's like, the way this chapter ends felt like a Hunger Games moment, so this too felt like a little bit like that as well. And Zoe is initially very uninterested. She's like, he's not even a half-blood. But then Talia jumps to his defense and is like, nope, Grover's a camper, and he can play a tracker song. And so Zoe agrees to take Grover. Yeah. And then Talia immediately says that she'll be the second camper and kind of looks around, daring anyone to question her. And no one does until Percy realizes what has just happened, and he does the math of,
that's 5.
That
we have
that
5.
goes up to 5, and he's like, well, hold on, what about me? I want to go too.
Yeah.
And Talia is silent. Chiron says nothing. He just studies Percy, his eyes very sad. And then Grover is kind of stumbling, like, oh, no, sorry, of course, like, Percy should go. Percy absolutely has to go in my place. But Zoe says that he cannot, that she will not have the hunters traveling with a boy. And Percy reminds her, like, but you traveled here with me. And she's like,
yeah,
that's its own thing. It was a short-term emergency. We were ordered by the goddess, but we will not travel across the country with you. And then...
just wait.
Yeah, and then Percy demands to know why Grover is allowed, and then we get an interesting thing where Zoe says that he's a satyr, so he's not technically a boy, which upsets Grover. And yeah, it's...
Yeah, it's sort of hard to analyze,
like,
gender... gender-based insult, I don't even know if it's an insult.
Right.
Gender interpretations of mythological creatures.
Yes.
Grover surely seems to be offended, and we definitely had a lot of, like, satyrs who are male are chasing nymphs who are female in the last chapter.
Yeah.
Like, that dynamic was there. I kind of think we just need a reason for Percy and Grover to both be on this quest, and for Grover to, like, find the boar in a way that we can all experience as the readers. And I'm saying it like this because it's like, side note, I think it's a writing thing.
Right. Well, because prior, when Grover was being very inappropriate and he, like, went to the cabin with the Artemis hunters, they, like, beat him up.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't think they would want him, like, literally camping with them.
Yeah. I think it's, like... Yeah, I think the actual reason is a writing reason of, like, Grover needs to be on this quest, and so does Percy, but there's this established thing with the hunters, which also does very much, like, come from mythology. Like, I've read some, like...
And, like, I'd be into the idea, because there are no, like, female satyrs as far as we know. So I'd be into the idea that satyrs could be more fluid in terms of gender, because I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Like...
Or even kind of, you know, I don't know, like in the way I wouldn't, like, I think a cool interpretation is that, like, humans exist in this very, like, binary idea of gender, but the other mythological creatures don't. Yeah. It's just all the hunters also happen to be humans, and so therefore ascribe very intensely to that.
But they are, like, in tune with nature, so they know that satyrs amongst other creatures don't have the same, like, rigid gender ideas or experiences.
But in terms of, like, who's going to be, like, respectful and appropriate with them on this journey, Grover is actually not. And
he's
Percy would be.
Shown
so
not
it's
to
like,
be.
For that reason, I think it feels a touch confusing, because it's like you literally had to beat him up already.
If anything, I feel like it actually just sort of shows the hypocrisy and illogical nature of the hunters' concepts of gender.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're ascribing a whole set of behaviors and beliefs and actions to a particular gender, and that as being problematic, and not doing it based on, like, a person, like, an individual basis of how that person is treating them.
Right.
Or satyr.
Yeah. So yes, Grover is upset by this, but Percy is very insistent that, like, he has to go. He's like framing it as like, I know that I need to be there. And Zoe asks if it's because of Annabeth, and this makes Percy blush, and he's like, no, partly, but just comes back to this, like, he feels like he is supposed to go. Like, he's supposed to be there. I think for him it feels very wrong for him not to go. And I kind of wonder if that's a combination of, like, he is supposed to be there, and also this is now, like, the second, like, time in the span of, like, you know, summer from winter, like, about half a year, that he's had this experience again of someone else being selected to go on a quest where, like, the quest is framed as something else. Like, he has a friend missing and in danger, and the quest that's granted is to someone else for a purpose outside of saving his friend. And I feel like, especially because by this point, Percy obviously, like, he's already got a crush on Annabeth, maybe even deeper feelings. Like, there are even other feelings in the mix that weren't in the mix when Grover was in danger last book. And so I think he's also kind of just at his wit's end to be like, no one will let me save my friends.
For sure. Especially because that's, like, his thing. Is, like, saving his friends.
He's
and sacrificing to save his friends.
Yeah. But after saying that he feels like he's supposed to go, nobody comes to his defense. Everyone stays silent. Bianca gives him a look of pity, and Zoe just insists that no, she will not have him go with them. And this is when Chiron states that as the quest is for Artemis, the hunters are allowed to approve of their companions, and basically like that's that on the conversation.
Which is like a fair statement, I think.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
And I think that's why this whole time, like, in this conversation, Chiron's kind of been looking at Percy sadly, even before this came about. Because I think he knew, like, the hunters are not going to be down with you going on this quest.
I feel like it could be that. I think it could also be a mixture, because I also think he knows Percy, and he knows what Percy did when Clarice got the quest. I think he also kind of knows that no matter what, Percy's going to be in danger during this experience. Yeah. And he knows, like, 2 people are probably going to die. So I feel like that's also the undertone, because Chiron knows Percy.
Well, and I think, like, Chiron is worried about the lost and the perishing of it all.
Very much.
And, I think might be worried that will be Percy.
Yep. Totally.
But yes, we end this section of the chapter with Percy's ears are ringing. He can't meet anyone else's eyes as he sits back down, and he stays silent as Chiron concludes the meeting and announces that the group will leave at first light. And he says, "May the gods be with them." And this is the part, it's the end of the section, not chapter, but where that felt very Hunger Games, like, may the odds be ever in your favor, and so it was a little, this whole like council section had a couple of like Hunger Games-esque moments for me.
Totally.
But yeah,
Minus the cheese whiz.
I really feel for Percy in this section, because I feel like it would be really, really hard to so vocally express how much you want to do something to, like, a group of people who are, like, your second family, and have all of them be, like, silent, you know?
I also, like, know the feeling of feeling so strong about something, but knowing that it's coming from this, like, really, really personal place, and not being able to fully dissect your feelings to know if, like, what you're saying is fully true, like, or if it's coming from that place of, like, what you really, really want, or how strongly you feel, something you feel super strong about, and that roaring in your ears that can happen even while you're saying it, and then when people, like, reject you, it's just like a really, that's such a hard thing to navigate. And also, I don't know if we've talked about rejection sensitivity dysphoria. But I'm realizing that that's absolutely something we should talk about.
Totally.
With Everybody Hates Me But the Whores. Because I think we're experiencing that here. Because when I'm saying, wait, that's not true, rejection sensitivity dysphoria doesn't care. And for anyone who doesn't know, like, that's a common experience for people with ADHD, where partly because as a kid with ADHD, you are so hyper-criticized. Like, you get thousands and thousands of criticisms as a child growing up, like, on average, that it can make you more primed to experience criticism, even when it's not intended as such. And then also, any level of criticism can feel like a mortal wound. Like, it can feel really, really intense.
Well, and isn't it also, my understanding is that there is also, like, a brain chemistry element to it as well.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Like, it's a combination
it's
of
not just because, it can be both. It can be, like, the way that you're regulating your emotions, like, between your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala, but it can also be, like, further exacerbated, let's say. Right. Or primed for, based on, like, how much people with ADHD as kids
right,
growing up, like, experienced criticism.
Yeah.
Which we know Percy has from, like, all his descriptions of school. So I'm really, like, it's hitting me as we're talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is rejection sensitivities for you.
And I'm wondering if maybe, thinking back to that explosive fight that we just had between Percy and Talia, if that escalated so intensely because that got, like, activated for both of them, because they were both just telling the other person, like, how much they sucked, you know, like, back and forth. And if that's, you know, part of why it reached such an intense level. And I think you're totally right, because, like, Percy is coming off of Capture the Flag, feeling a lot of deep wounds about, like, because his whole mental, like, framing right now is everyone hates me, everyone's mad at me, like, going into the council meeting, and then no one standing up for him, I think, just leaves him more like, they're, like, everyone, like the chapter title says, everyone hates me right now. So I think that's a great point, that is, like, a lot of what is also coming up.
It's like a big
for him
factor
right
here.
Now. But and the other thing that I wanted to say, like, that I also really relate to is, like, those moments where, like, you have emotions that are so big and you just, like, can't really communicate them, and you can't effectively get someone else to understand, like, but I'm like, I can't, like, properly say what I'm feeling, but it's huge and it's big, and I feel like that's what's happening to Percy as well in this council meeting. Is, like, he's just not able to communicate what's happening, what he's feeling internally, effectively externally, and so then I think that's, like, part of why everyone's kind of like, well, but the hunters won't take a boy, so, you know, they're not, like, seeing and feeling and understanding everything that, like, Percy's going through internally. And I feel like I can think back to a lot of moments in my life where I felt that way, where I'm like, my emotions are so big, and I'm like, but I can't get the words out to actually say, you know, like, what I'm feeling and communicate that to another person. So yeah, that's fair. I think it's probably both things are happening here for sure. So Percy feeling really upset, rejected sensitively in his dysphoria. I mean, because what he did experience, it's a rejection.
Yeah,
he was
absolutely
rejected by Zoe.
That's the thing about rejection sensitivity. It's more that you are just sort of, like, hyper tuned into when it could be happening, and then deeply affected by it happening in a way that's, like, beyond what maybe someone without it would experience.
Right. Like, my understanding of it is that, like, the recovery time from it is a lot longer, and it can lead to, like, it goes from, like, instead of being like, oh, this one person, it goes to a much larger thing of, like, this means something greater or something bigger. Is that
it
correct?
Can, like, about yourself. Yeah, it can make you spiral for sure. And ruminate and such.
Yeah.
So fun. So, understandably, Percy, having been rejected, decides not to show up for dinner.
Yeah.
But that makes Chiron and Grover come find him, which is good.
No, that ultimately is good. Yes.
They're like, hey, we're not going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
Grover feels really bad that he feels like he took Percy's spot, and he didn't mean to. And he knows that Percy's upset, because also they have an empathy link, so he probably really knows that Percy's upset. And so he just feels really bad. But Chiron actually asks to talk with Percy alone.
The one thing that I want to note before that is Percy lies again, second time in a very short span of time, when he tells Grover it's okay, really it's fine. The dialogue says, I lied. Like, he straight up acknowledges.
It does. No, it does. Also, it's like, it is not the smartest thing to lie about your feelings to the person you have an empathy link with. Yeah. It's not going to be as effective as someone you don't. And also, it's obviously not true.
Right. And also, I think, you know, our learning where our brains may be open to that at the, you know, age of 13 years old. Post the Capture the Flag experience would have been, maybe I shouldn't lie and say I'm fine when I'm not. But, you know, years into adulthood, a lot of us, calling myself out, still learning that lesson. Yep,
absolutely. That, and also, like, he's really upset. So it's really hard. It's, you know, it hasn't been long enough for a lesson to come in to be processed.
Well, and it is a really hard thing to, like, sit in the discomfort of being like, you're my friend, and also, yeah, I'm very upset that you're going on this thing, and I can't change it, and you can't change it, because I was made very clear, but yeah, I'm upset, and you're going, and that's
totally
it, and we're also still friends.
But
you know?
Yes, exactly. We're still pals, but, like, yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But I'm not, like, blaming you. I am upset, you know. But I think that's a nuance that's really hard at any age, especially
oh my God,
to parse those both ends of it, you know?
Yeah.
Grover does say, like, he'll try really hard to look for Annabeth. Like, he really makes a point of being like, I, you know, was focused on helping Artemis, but I'll look everywhere, and if I can find her, I will. And, you know, like, knowing that he's, like, trained as a searcher, it's like, okay, that doesn't mean nothing coming from Grover.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real, you know, commitment that he's making. And they are, like, such a trio that I feel like he, like, genuinely, you know, will be looking for Annabeth. Even if Percy wasn't there. But Chiron asks to talk with Percy alone. And it's kind of funny because he first kind of like lightly insults Talia, but then he includes Percy, so it's like fine, I guess. I know. He calls Talia impetuous and impulsive, basically. But then he says Percy is the same. Yeah. And, like, basically he wouldn't want either of them on the quest.
Right.
But if they were both there, it would be for sure dangerous.
Right.
Two wrongs do not make a right in this case, is what Chiron is saying. Yeah. And Percy's like, we could handle it. And Chiron's like you handled the creek tonight? Like, what just happened?
Like, literally think back about 5 hours ago, and let's maybe reassess.
Just weren't able to, so okay. Keep telling yourself that. And then he's like, well, you could go with your mom, like, home with your mom for the holidays. And normally that's, like, a nice sentence, I think, for Percy. But in this case, he's like, but, like, I would rather be in mortal peril.
He's just, like, he's really taking, like, emotional blow after emotional blow. Because to even, like, it is a very kind, generous thing to be like, go spend time with your mom, you know? Like, but I feel like it would hurt even more to be like, and you don't even want me at camp?
Yeah,
you know,
because
like,
then Chiron's like, if we need you, we'll call. And it's like, oh, so you don't need me right now.
Right.
Like that's what you're saying, though. That's just, like, what you're telling me. Yeah, it's a bummer. Chiron, we're kind of, like, flashing back to the Lightning Thief. Where Chiron is terrible at cheering people up.
We really are.
Like, Chiron cannot do a pep talk to save his life. Like, if he was in front of some terrible monster who was like, in order for me to not kill you, you have to give someone a pep talk, Chiron would be dead. Immediately.
He needs to watch some Friday Night Lights. And he needs to really
get some of that football coach energy.
Yes, you know,
or go to therapy. I don't know, something. But, like, the man cannot cheer a person up. No. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Yes. So then it gets even more fun because Percy pulls out Riptide, his sword, and Chiron's like, oh yeah, Zoe wouldn't want you around for sure, 'cause that sword, oh no, that particular blade is not good for her.
Percy's like Zoe's, like the embodiment of all of Zoe's, like, arch nemesis.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a boy, he's holding the sword.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Like, she is oil, he is water, like, it is bad. They do not mix. Yep. And Percy remembers that Chiron told him that his blade had a long and tragic history, and so he's like, oh, that must relate to something. Which
but he doesn't go like, hey, specifically why and how?
Of course not. He is a little bit focused on, like, feeling really depressed. So,
of course. No, naturally.
But yes, I get curious.
I would be like, and how so specifically, please?
Yeah, why? Because then I could also understand, like, Zoe a little better, and then maybe like, figure it out. Yeah. But Percy doesn't ask further. Chiron doesn't explain further, but he gives Percy a drachma to call his mom and say he's coming home. And then, interestingly, he says that Chiron, would have volunteered for the quest if not for the last line about perishing by a father's hand. And Percy knows that Kronos is Chiron's dad and is rising from the dead. It would be a really interesting what if to think about what if Chiron went on the quest. Like,
yeah.
that would be
I
fun
also
to think
think,
about.
to me, the most fascinating piece about this is learning that Chiron can go on quests.
I know. It doesn't seem like he would be able to.
Yeah. But he
I don't know
can.
if it's because it's like a hunter's quest, you know? Like, maybe that makes it different, particularly because, like, he definitely has some things in common with hunters, like bows and arrows and, you know, that kind of thing.
But yeah, I don't know. But to me, this implies that, like, any
he could always
quest,
go?
Yes. I mean, he's not a god. He just is the child of a
I guess
Titan.
it depends on if a prophecy specifies demigods or not.
Right, right. Yeah, it's funny, because in that instance, Chiron is thinking of himself as a camper.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is also adorable.
Yeah, yeah.
Very adorable. One thing that's interesting to think about with like how satyrs count on quests that we don't have to get fully into, but I'm realizing that we have a satyr counting as a quest person.
As a camper.
As a camper here.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we're in Heroes of Olympus, we're going to have a satyr, Coach Hedge, on the boat the entire time, who's not going to count as a quest member.
Yeah, I wonder, I think it's because, if I remember correctly, that prophecy says 7 half-bloods.
Yes, we'll answer the call.
Right.
But like, a satyr still goes with, like, there's usually problems when you do something, when you deviate. So in my mind, I don't remember if they address it, but in my mind I was kind of like, oh, he's just like a chaperone and he's a satyr, so he's not like a half-blood, so he's not part of the prophecy.
I know. I feel like I remember in the book them being like, he's a chaperone, so it's fine. But
does that, like, could Chiron just go on any quest as a fourth person? Like,
well,
that
but
doesn't sound
I'm
right.
locking away
a
potential theory for the consequence of that in something you have not read.
For later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm just naming it because it feels important to, you know, the way that prophecies work in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. Okay. So, we'll put a pin in that and circle back. So then Percy asks about the Titan's curse because he's like, I think Chiron knows what it is. Mm-hmm. And Chiron just says that he hopes the prophecy doesn't mean what he thinks, which is, as always, extremely helpful.
Super helpful.
And specific and detailed.
Thank you so much.
And then he also, again, here's where he's like, he's always tries to end with something helpful that ends up just, it's not that encouraging. But he's like, your time will come. There's no need to rush. And when Percy hears that, he hears your time as like, your death will come. There's no need to rush. Okay, so we'll just tally that under Chiron's unsuccessful pep talks, as usual. Yeah. But then we get some fun. We get some shenanigans and fun. Because Percy calls his mom.
Yeah.
And she's not alone. Yeah, she's again going to be a very MVP mom in this interaction. Yes. She is laughing hysterically, and I wanted to read the description of Paul because it's our first introduction to Mr. Blowfish, which I'm going to call him Blowfish.
Yeah, I know. I love that you're you're calling him Blowfish and not Blowfish.
I just have to. It's just I have to. It's like Oreos, you know? Mm-hmm. So she's laughing hysterically at the kitchen table. And Percy's like, our kitchen table. Like, they're at our kitchen table. Like, that's how he says it, not the kitchen table.
I love how immediately he's like, no.
Quite possessive.
No, that is my kitchen table. That is my mom.
That's my table.
You get away from my mom. You can't sit on my
funny.
chair in my kitchen table in my apartment.
Because it says that she's sitting at our kitchen table with ... with some ... guy. Not a guy.
He's like, I get the hunters now. I
know. I was just thinking. He's like, yes, I'm on board.
He's like, screw men.
Yeah, exactly. he for she. They were laughing hysterically, and there's a big stack of textbooks between them. He is, in Percy's eyes, 30-something. It's really hard when a kid tries to guess an adult age. I could never do that as a kid, so.
Oh, me neither.
But he has longish salt and pepper hair and a brown jacket over a black t-shirt. he looked like an actor, like a guy who might play an undercover cop on television, which, like, good for Sally that he looks like an actor, because I feel like that's Percy's way, which we've done with Percy before, of saying, like, he's kind of attractive,
fine,
though.
He's handsome, I guess, if you force it out of me.
I guess he's handsome, but he's a guy, so I'm just going to say he looks like an actor.
Right, so I have to be weird about it.
I've got to be not specific, but I guess if I were forced to really say it, on a scale, I would say that he was more handsome than not handsome. Yeah, so that's where we are right now. And Percy's just, like, speechless. Like, he has no words.
Which, like, honestly, that's good, because imagine, like, Paul turning around and being like, no, whose head is floating?
Right, like, eventually he's, like, kind of chill, you know, but this is the beginning.
This is not the moment to be like, hey, mythological world.
It's not just like, oh, I have a kid. It's like, oh, I have a kid, and he's a demigod.
I think you just gotta call anytime. Like, you can video call whenever. Yeah. And that's
like gonna be great for us.
Right, where I can, like, accept or decline. He just kind of pops up. At any given moment.
Oh, I don't like the repercussions of that.
I know this did really make me think that there needs to be a, like, call incoming added to,
like, a collect. Yeah.
And not just kind of like you get to pop in.
Yeah. I think for everybody's sake, that's kind of an important thing we need to add to Iris messaging.
Also, just even being like, hey, I'm using the bathroom.
I know, like, what if I was just thinking, what if you're, like, pooping? That's so awkward. It's
Give me a second.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Given that everybody poops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Paul, I also want to read what he says, just because he has a very particular way of talking that feels really, like, old and funny. He's like, Sally, you're a riot. You want some more wine? So that's Paul. Meet Paul, everybody.
Hi, Paul.
We're excited. We're excited that Paul has appeared.
We love Paul.
For sure.
Yes.
Sally is like, no, I shouldn't, but you can have some, which, love this for Sally. Mm-hmm. She's not going to be drinking too much in this experience. And then Paul goes to the bathroom. And Percy's finally like, Mom, I am here. What the F is happening?
And poor Sally. She's like...
It's just so... That's so awkward. That's so awkward. She's like, homework.
I know. I'm
doing homework.
I do love how, like, this brief moment of, like
a reverse.
Yes, where Sally's having to be, like, weird about, like, you know, dating, which obviously,
so funny.
Like, you know, I think it makes sense on her part that she's not like, hey, future boyfriend alert, you know.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think, especially given the last one, and I mean, she's probably still figuring out her feelings. Like, it's a lot. Sally needs to be able to have her own life and figure it out. And it's okay. But I always love it in media when, like, a kid catches out a parent in something.
Yes. It's so fun.
Just fun.
It's delightful. It's delightful.
It is quite delightful. So we learned that Mr. Blowfis, which will be the only time I say it correctly, Blofis, Paul, is in her writing seminar. And Percy, of course, immediately hears blowfish, and Sally is not amused, of course, by this, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And then we get into, like, the quintessential Percy-Sally lovely dynamic that we just adore, where Percy tells her about Annabeth, and she tears up, but she keeps it together for him, he can tell, and he says that he's coming home, and she says, you know, I always want you home. Like, I'd always love that. But that if he really deep down believes that he needs to save Annabeth, that she'll support whatever he does, even if it's dangerous. It's so sweet. And then she says that she knows he'll do what's right, and he asks, like, how she knows that. And then she says, because Annabeth would do the same for you.
Yeah.
And first of all, Sally 100% knows that these two are getting together.
Oh, yeah.
She's already aware.
Absolutely.
Way before they are.
Yes.
That's part of, like, her toast if they get married. Is like, so the first time that they were together, I knew I would be here.
Yep. No, absolutely.
That's just what it is. And it's so sweet. Like, it's so sweet between Percy and Sally. It's so sweet about Percy and Annabeth. And just... good vibes all around here.
Well, and I really love, after, like, Percy, I think, felt so, like, not seen by everyone else at camp. I really love that he gets this moment with his mom where she immediately just understands what he's feeling, the intensity and the depth that he's feeling, the importance and the weight to all of this. Like, I just love that she sees him, and then that he's able to experience that after not having that with the campers and the council. I just think that's so great.
Yeah, she fully validates him without question, and that's like, it's so sad in a way that she's such a good parent, because it's like that should just be like what parenting is. Right. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and we love it. And we love Sally. And also, honestly, part of me was like, I'm just so glad she got a phone call, because
I know
earlier Percy was like, no, she's fine.
Right. No, I know. I know.
So I'm glad that, like, she got to check in.
Me too.
And I also really like that she specifies, like, she'll support him even if what he's doing is dangerous. Because I think that's, like, the line that most parents wouldn't cross.
Yeah. I think that's really what makes her such an exceptional parent to a demigod. And I think, like, we see her really embody that from, like, here on out with Percy. And I think it really shows how much trust she has in him and his judgment of being able to know when the danger is worth it. Like, he's not being reckless. He's not seeking danger out, but she's able to recognize, like, I can trust my kid to identify, like, but there is a greater reason as to why I'm going to be entering this dangerous situation.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, she has understanding and acceptance about his role and his identity. And so she, like, that's fundamentally there. And so then she makes her decisions accordingly. Yeah.
She's the best.
She's not trying to be like, oh, I'm judging you by mortal kid standards. So, yes. So we love that. Then she's like, hey, so, bye.
Hey, so Paul's coming back. Gotta go.
Yep. And lovely last image of, that we leave Percy with, of her new friend, Mr. Blowfish, smiling down at her. Yeah. Which is just like, we just need to appreciate that Sally finally found someone who's not terrible.
I know. And he's,
and
like,
I'm just so happy for her. And I'm so relieved for her, and I can't wait for her to, like, write her books. And
just everything. Her life really turns around so beautifully and so incredibly. Like, she is able to just, like, achieve her dreams, and I just love that so much.
Yep, absolutely. And it's nice because she's finally being seen for who she is, too. Because everybody needs that.
Everybody does.
Everybody needs that. Okay, so unfortunately we go to this from this really lovely scene to, like, this really, really sad, terrible, depressing scene.
Yeah, we're down in the dumps again.
As we do. With another Annabeth dream.
Woo.
Yep. So Annabeth is still kneeling under the weight of a dark mass. A male voice that's not Kronos's booms. But I think it's interesting that Percy doesn't say that's not Luke's, that's not whatever, because he's clocking subconsciously that this is a Titan, which I think is interesting and cool. The voice booms, "How is our mortal guest?" Luke kneels beside Annabeth and says she's fading. We must hurry. And we're about to learn that this is, like, similar to the acting he did when he was under the thing, though we think that he probably would have been crushed, so he wasn't 100% acting there. Percy is like, again, like last time, Luke is a liar. Don't believe him. He doesn't actually care.
Yeah.
But then he sees Artemis thrust forward, bound in chains, which is huge because we've learned that Artemis is bound in chains.
Yeah.
But we get confirmation that she is with Annabeth, which is very crucial. Yeah. Kind of like when we learn that Grover is probably where the Golden Fleece is. Like, this is a similar kind of connecting dots. And they make Artemis decide what to do, whether to save and whether to take the weight for Annabeth or not. She's very indignant that they're torturing a maiden. Which I was just like, so if Annabeth was, like, had a boyfriend, would Artemis not care?
Artemis would be like, let her die. No.
Right. Like, I don't think so, but I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. No, I know. That was a moment where I was like, okay, I don't think we need the maiden qualifier. I think we can just be like, how dare you be torturing, period.
A person.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Anyone
like,
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes. It's Artemis. So Luke is like, oh no, Annabeth's gonna die soon, but only you can save her. Mm-hmm. And it's so like high, like a, what are they called? High pressure sales environment? Like where you put someone in a room and you're really intense with them and then they buy a timeshare. Like, it's just like so manipulative, you know, in this moment. Like, what's she gonna do? Let Annabeth die?
Right.
So Artemis is like, unchain me, and then she takes the burden from Annabeth. And then, interestingly, the voice that is not Kronos says, Luke can kill Annabeth now. And Artemis is like, no. And then Luke says, oh, but she might be useful as bait still.
Yes.
And I don't think Percy is taking this in as like genuinely Luke is like torn about Annabeth.
No.
But this is like part of that battle.
Yes.
This is one of the first times, finally, that we've seen the side of Luke that still cares for Annabeth. Because we've been building up so much the side of him that has become callous and destructive. This side is now finally being shown.
Yes. And the one thing that I want to make a note about is, like, in this interaction between Artemis and the currently unnamed Titan, is the man says that, like, he knew that Artemis couldn't resist helping a young maiden, and that combined with Luke being like, oh no, she might still be useful, like, could still be bait. Like, I think we're also through these dreams really learning the extent to which all of this has been thoroughly thought through and planned out. Like, it is not accidental that they trapped Artemis. I also, this is really, because I remember us talking about, like, was the taking of Annabeth purposeful or not? Like, what was the real end goal? And, you know, part of me wonders, like, maybe Dr. Thorne would have just, like, taken Bianca and Artemis would have come because, like, Bianca was taken. I'm not sure. But
very true.
In general, I think the plan of capturing a maiden to then lure Artemis, like, feels very much like a very specific plan being laid out and happening.
Yeah, I think that's very likely. We do get to know, because we've heard the term general before, and we do get that term used again for this voice. And so at least we're kind of linking together this voice that is like Kronos but not Kronos and the name the General. So we're starting, you know, it's fun to kind of get those little, we talked about corkboards a lot in The Lightning Thief and a little bit in The Sea of Monsters. And I feel like now, like, there's a thread between Annabeth and Artemis and, like, a mountain or something. And then now we have, like, the General is, like, there with, like, a question mark, you know, in that same vicinity. And then, this is very interesting, but the General says that if their sacrifice goes as planned, in response to, like, saying it's fine to not kill Annabeth right away, that the lives of all mortals will be meaningless. So, we get our, like, stakes for the book.
And for the series.
And for the series, but specifically with our sacrifice of, you know, of the book. And then he also says, a little ominously, that he's going to make the Hunter's Quest challenging. Which, so we learned that that's going to happen.
Also, all of the, like, my read on everything that he says in this, like, last bit of this section are all our first clues that there is a spy in Camp Half-Blood, because, like, your darling attendants begin their quest to find you. Like, he knows that the quest is beginning. They're going to play directly his hand. He's like, we must greet them. Like, all of that to me is very much feels like it is hinting towards the Selena of it all that we do not know yet, but, like, you know, in the book we don't know yet, but
interesting. I wonder if, like, she doesn't want to go on the quest not just because she doesn't like the hunters, but also because she's feeding some information and doesn't want to, knows that they're going to come after this group of travelers.
So,
I think you're very, very right there. And the laughter is shaking the ground till it seems like the whole cavern's going to collapse. So there's still this sort of, like, ominous presence of the cavern. Annabeth is not stuck anymore, but not in great shape, still captured.
No.
Someone still wants to kill her.
Yeah.
And now we know that Artemis is, like, trapped under the weight of...
And she, like, can't even really walk, because, like, Luke,
Yeah.
like, picks up her listless body. Like, she is nearly gone. Like, it has taken such a toll on her.
Very frail. And, like, again, this has been a while, and it's really impressive that Annabeth did this. Like, she is
unbelievable,
incredibly strong. Like, ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
So, Percy wakes with a start from the dream.
As you would.
To very loud banging, which is... not what you want.
No.
Coming out of a nightmare is to, like, that would be so scary.
That would
to
be
have very loud banging. Yep. And then he opens the door and is face to face with a black Pegasus.
Our trans icon has returned.
Not what you're expecting. Yes. So trans icon Blackjack has entered the scene officially, and we're very, very, very excited.
Yes.
We learned that it's 5 a.m, so that's fun. But we did hear that the quest is starting at first light, so I suppose we do need to be up before first light in order to kind of, like, figure out what's happening. Blackjack is like, it's 5 a.m, what are you sleeping for? Like, that's how we learn. And also when Percy asks him why he's not in the stables, he's like, do you see Chiron in the stables? And I'm like, I love that.
I do love that. Yeah. I feel like Blackjack, in Blackjack's freedom, he's, like, ready to unionize. He's like
absolutely. Also just, like, a little sassy, like, just having very much, like, independent, you know, I feel like trotting with the high hooves trotting.
Yes.
Yes. Love that. He tells Percy that another little sea friend needs his help, and that he told the hippocampi he'd come get Percy to go help, and that Percy should come with them to the beach. And Percy's like, oh my god, this happens to me all the time.
It's like, not again.
All these sea creatures are just always asking for my help whenever I'm by the water, and it's a lot.
And I love the specificity of, like, it's always the hippocampi, like, post the Sea of Monsters.
That's so cute.
He's like, God, they're always asking me for help now.
I like the idea that the hippocampi are kind of like the guardians of the ocean. Like they look out for all the sea creatures. Yeah. You know? I think that's kind of cute.
No, it is.
Yeah. So Percy is like, yes, I'm coming. Like, he gets on board. Before he leaves, a little something inside him, looking around at what's in his cabin, tells him to grab Annabeth's cap. And maybe, just maybe, he has the feeling even then that he wasn't coming back to his cabin for a long, long time. And that is where we end the chapter.
It is indeed. Good chapter.
Good chapter.
Yeah.
Last one and this one, I feel like they've both been... We've moved the plot forward a lot. We've had great tension between characters. It's a bit of a bummer that Percy is depressed in this chapter. Those are always less fun. Yeah. But we get Mr. Blowfish, we get Blackjack. Both start with B's. I feel like we have some, you know, delightful things happening too. We get, even though Annabeth's situation is very dire, I feel like it's still nice to know where she is.
Yes, and like to know that, like, she is no longer holding it up anymore. The weight of the world. And so, like, that's nice too.
Exactly. I agree. So yeah. We are just, like, inching our way closer to quest time, questing. It is interesting. Like, it takes us, we're about to get to chapter 8. It takes us a while to get on this quest, even, you know, even though we're 3 books in. We're not questing, you know,
we still get that
away.
Setup period. That, like,
we have to get to camp somehow, have something be going on in the bigger world that requires a quest, have Percy not be allowed to go on the quest, you know. The normal, usual things. Yeah.
It's like he got his first quest so easy the second he got to camp because everyone thought he'd stolen the lightning bolt. And now he's like, I can't get a quest to save my life.
Right. Let me risk my life, please. I'm just desperate to.
Please, someone.
Be in danger. Yes. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of this chapter. Any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. Any final thoughts from you?
Let's go on a quest. Let's go on a quest.
Let's go on a quest.
Up to the far west.
Hey, let's go on a quest and
try not to die.
We'll workshop it.
Out where the Titans are, even though it's very far.
Nice.
Let's all go
on a quest.
On a quest.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the people are here for.
Absolutely.
Like and subscribe.
For more
5-star review.
Mary Poppins parody songs.
Don't get me started. I'll never stop. All right, everyone. We will see you next time when we read The Titan's Curse, Chapter 8, I Make a Dangerous Promise. Bye.
Bye.